Hey, welcome everyone to another tech privacy focused video. In this video, I'm talking about my go-to messaging service that I'm using now, which is Signal. Now, if you want to see the written version of this video, you can find a link to my website in the video description. And in the video description, like the link to my website, I'll have all my source links of everything I'll be showing you on video now. So why am I talking about this? Because I used to use WhatsApp and I stopped it because it is a privacy nightmare. The end-to-end encrypted chat means nothing for the amount of other data it collects on you. It's kind of disgusting. In fact, it's even worse if you use other Meta services, because Meta and their AI machine learning will correlate the data from you on WhatsApp and sync it up to Instagram and Facebook if you have those services. The biggest privacy nightmare is that the amount of information it's taking from you, your name, first name, last name, your phone number, your contacts address book, so on and so forth. It's so bad that I have another video dedicated to. I'm not going to dive into it. It's the previous video on my channel. I'll put a link to that in the video description. Basically, I've told everyone it's so bad, all my main contacts, I'm deleting my WhatsApp account, which I have. And if you want to get a hold of me, use Signal. And if someone texts me, I'm going to say, stop texting me and use Signal, because texting is not encrypted. It's easily accessible to man-in-the-middle attacks. In fact, your telco company can access all your text messages and sell the data if they wanted to. So before we dive into Signal and how awesome it is, I want to mention that it's not perfect. There is one con I could think of, and I'll be making another video in the short future listing other privacy alternative messaging apps instead of Signal. Okay, so there are other ones. I'll be listing out the pros and cons for that in another video. So before we dive into the history of Signal, which I'll be doing very quickly because I think it's very interesting about how it came about and became popular, I'll be talking about Signal Gate. Yeah, that's right, the fiasco and an absolute embarrassing situation regarding the Trump administration here in 2025, in which even the president of the Signal Foundation, Meredith Walker, had to open up about it because it involved the previous National Security Advisor Mark Waltz had added the editor of The Atlantic magazine and apparently accidentally to a Signal group chat where senior officials discussed forthcoming military strikes, an ongoing conflict. And just as embarrassing, actually probably even more embarrassing because it happened yet again a month later, was the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegsworth had used a separate Signal chat to share similar details about military strikes with people that should not have been involved. So the Signal app worked exactly as intended. It's super private. It's used by government officials. This is 100% user error that even the president of the Signal Foundation had to open up and say it was their own fault for adding people they shouldn't have to the chat group. So there's nothing wrong with Signal security. It works perfectly fine. In fact, it's so good that even government agencies cannot crack it. One of the driving factors for me to adopt Signal wasn't just the encryption practices. It was the history of how they came about and became popularized. So for those who aren't aware, in 2009, WhatsApp was founded by Jan Kwam. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I apologize in advance. And Brian Acton. And then, of course, they sold it to Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, today WhatsApp now, and Instagram back then. They sold it to Meta for $19 billion, the WhatsApp application itself. Why did they do that? You know, Facebook is spending a crazy amount of money. It's not for the goodness of their heart and keeping the service free. They're collecting your data, which I explained in the previous video. I'm not getting into here. At the time of sale, they had access to 450 million active monthly users. That number has grown substantially since then, since Meta has taken over it. However, it's interesting because after being with Meta for a little while, one of the founders of WhatsApp, Brian Acton, left the company. He left WhatsApp because he found out, as well as everyone else publicly, that Facebook had a data leak of 87 million users' information, which exposed to data from Cambridge Analytica, and which was helped to sway some political elections in the United States. This was like a combination of things, and Brian Acton realized, like, look, Meta does not respect privacy at all, because in an interview here on CBS News, again, links to this on my website, he said he sold users privacy when he sold it to Facebook. He realized how non-privacy focused Meta was, and they were using WhatsApp to their advantage. And in 2018, he tweeted openly, #delete Facebook, because he just doesn't like the company itself. So after leaving Meta and departing from WhatsApp, the very thing he created, he helped found the Signal Foundation, a nonprofit organization, which he's one of the key members of, and invested $50 million of his own to help the foundation grow. And of course, it was alongside with the main creator of Signal, which is Proxy Marlinspike. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So Signal, the messaging app itself, is being run by the Signal Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization, encrypts all your data end to end and at rest. They do not sell your data. They have no intentions to ever sell the application. They have no intentions to ever use ads. It's basically everything WhatsApp should have been, but far better. And for those of you unaware, WhatsApp is going to be introducing ads into their app. Again, I discussed it in the previous video. Big shocker, Meta putting more ads into their services. I am so dumbfounded. I don't know if you are. So here's the thing. Not only is it super privacy focused, so I'll be talking about some of the cool features, it's also a very easy to use app. But there is one con, and that to me is that to register with Signal, the application, you have to register a phone number. That could be a cell phone number or a home number, as long as the service can call or text you for some sort of authentication code. They don't sell your data and stuff, but I just don't like the fact that this had to be done. I just wish they could have used email instead. Some people on various YouTube videos in the comment section have claimed I can do without providing a phone number. Other people on Reddit forums have said the same thing, except when people respond asking the YouTube comments or to those Reddit threads, hey, how did you do it? They never respond back. There's actually, I haven't seen any evidence of it. I tried to research it. Everyone's like, get a VoIP number and this and that, but just not reliable. You could lose access to your Signal account. But then at the point, you're still registering a phone number. Is it a con? Yes. Is it a big deal? No. Okay, so kicking off, one of the first privacy-focused features is the government request to obtain data. Signal actually puts this on their website publicly, and they actually just openly show everything. They show the PDF files from the court orders, their responses from their lawyers. Like, it's all public information. They have nothing to hide because they're like, we never give up any data. In fact, there's people at Signal Foundation claim they can't even access the data. That's how much it's encrypted and hashed. In fact, it's interesting because an FBI document was obtained detailing how much information the FBI can access from various messaging services, including Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp, so on and so forth. If you look at this chart, you'll notice that Signal has some of the least amount of information. They can't see your message content, but that's pretty much the case for most of these services, not all. All they can see is the date and time a user registered an account and the last time they connected to the service. That's it. Again, if you look at other services, there's a bunch of information that's available to the FBI. Apple iMessage seems to be one of the worst, ironically. If anyone thinks Apple is privacy focused, do not kid yourself. Just because their multi-billion-dollar executives claim they're privacy focused, doesn't mean it is. One of my favorite features that's more privacy focused here is when you register your phone number, you have an account. After that, you don't have to show your phone number to anyone else ever again. They included this feature about a year ago in which you can start using usernames. So for example, I have a username, let's call it Joe Guy. I'm just making it up. It's not my actual username. But if I want to invite someone to start messaging me on Signal, I don't have to give them my phone number. I can send them my username called Joe Guy. It's a very unique handle. It has to be a very unique username. When they add that, then they can request to chat with me and they start chatting. During that process, they don't see my phone number. They just see Joe Guy. That username is not displayed to anyone. It's simply used to invite people to chat with you. That's it. In fact, you can also create a unique URL. So if you want to text or message someone or email a URL to find your unique handle, you can do that. Or you can create a scannable QR code. So once the phone number is in there, after that, you can keep it private from other people, which I love. In fact, you can hide your phone number from everyone, even including people that have your phone number. You can hide it from them if you want to. They have to have your unique handle to find you and add you. Supported platforms to me is very important because it can be used on a ton. It can be used on Android and iPhone or iPad. Surprise, surprise. It can be used for Windows, Linux, and Mac. It says Debian-based distros. I'm able to install it on Linux Mint. So there's one really cool feature that's not really advertised and well known, and for good reason. Hopefully you never have to rely on it, but if you do, here it is. I'll explain why. It's called proxy support. So proxy support basically is the idea that if Signal is being blocked by your country, like the IP address, the information, all the metadata regarding Signal, they want to block it. Now, this is not uncommon. I'm sure you've heard in the news sometimes where these government regimes kind of just go kind of like evil dictator mode in which they block certain internet services or the internet altogether. Well, when it comes to blocking internet services, if they try to block Signal, which they can, any government can do that really with their telco communications companies, there's a way to use proxy service which will try to bypass and find alternate routes through the internet for people to connect to proxies. This is also great for journalists who are trying to report on things happening with a certain country and they want to communicate it externally, privately. Now, mobile app keyboards can be another privacy nightmare if you're using the one from Apple on iOS devices or iPad devices. The Google keyboard, the one from Microsoft, I think they own SwiftKey or something like that. Anyway, regardless, they can be privacy nightmares. They're collecting all your data and using it for research, analytics, and advertisement purposes. In fact, if you don't believe me, just look at your permissions for your keyboard. So for example, I used to use, I think it's SwiftKey from Microsoft. I looked at permissions and it was sending data over the internet. I think it sent like 500 megs over the course of like 2 months. The question is why? Why does a keyboard need internet access? It's pretty scary. I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm using? I stopped using it. Imagine you have a keyboard for your computer, but all that information is being sent over the internet. Why? So Signal tries at their very best, only with Android. This is not supported on iPhone because iPhone's extremely locked down, to try to activate incognito keyboard mode so the keyboard provider can't see what you're typing and track it. This is not a guaranteed method. It tries its best to do that, but I like the fact that they're even trying to make it this private. They have a feature called View Once Media, so that basically when you send some sort of media, picture, photo, whatever, that's the same thing, I guess. Picture or video is what I meant to say. Whoopsie daisy. You can have it sent in a permission style that when it's viewed once, it'll just kind of auto delete, and it's deleted off the servers. It's never available even to the Signal Foundation. And on that front, you can also send disappearing messages. After a certain amount of time, the message will be no longer available, up to a maximum of 4 weeks. Now, of course, what I like about this documentation, if you actually take your time to read it and research things like I do, it's actually interesting what they write, because they said this is not guaranteed for privacy usage, because they're like, if you have a disappearing message that appears on your phone, you could have another phone or camera recording everything that's happening. So there's no guarantee that this is going to be 100% privacy based, but it's a little bit more extra effort. And they admit that openly, which I like to see. They're transparent. There's something called screen lock, and what that basically means is that when you're swiping and you're multitasking of apps that are open, you can hide that information. So if someone's standing behind you, creeping over your shoulder, they can't see even a preview of your message quickly. There's also the ability to activate your lock screen. So for example, let's say you're using Signal, and then you switch an app, and you go back to Signal, Signal will not open. You have to use your biometrics or your lock screen security to activate and unlock Signal, even if you're already logged into your phones. And the last one is actually kind of like a big smack in the face to Microsoft, which I think is pretty awesome and pretty funny. For those who are unaware, Microsoft has been detailing this feature called it's Recall. Basically, it's this AI service in your computer, which is going to scan everything on your screen, every application you're using, almost just about all the time. And it's going to recall that data for you if you ever need to go back. So if you're trying to figure out what did I do yesterday at 2 p.m., I'll use Microsoft Recall and see what applications I had, what documents, what was I browsing on the web. But this is a privacy nightmare. Okay, a lot of people say that, and I agree fully with them. I'm on board with them. And so does Signal, apparently, because they have changed their desktop Microsoft Windows application so that Microsoft Recall can't scan it and make your data visible. It won't even know it was there. So you can see, hence their documentation. Signal was here. They have a whole information detailing that they don't want it to be visible to Microsoft AI services. And that's pretty much a wrap. If you would like this video, it would greatly help. Even better, you can also subscribe. It literally helps my channel grow. And if you want to donate, because I had to make these videos on my own time and do all the research, you can consider hitting the super thanks button, which is kind of like the heart icon below this video. And that's a wrap. And thanks for watching.